Hello, my name is Eduardo Griego Gonzalez. I'd like to introduce you to the star of this program. This is red garnet amaranth, ready for harvest. As I move my hands down the flower, the little seeds are just falling off. When we blow away the flower, we end up with these beautiful little black, reddish, red garnet amaranth seeds. They're beautiful. We're going to learn a lot today about amaranth, the history, the present situation that amaranth is in. It's starting to come back. It's starting to make a return. And the benefits and why we should have a lot more of this on our dinner tables every evening.
A few years ago, I was invited to a talk that was being given in Albuquerque, New Mexico, by Carlos Aceves. He had written this book, The 9 Seasons Beyond 2012, a manual of ancient Aztec and Maya wisdom. I loved going and listening to him speak about the importance of not only making our lives sacred and living lives where we remember who we are at this time on planet Earth, and how we should start returning back to the ancient teachings, because these beings that lived on planet Earth thousands of years ago, they left us a lot of important information, not only about how to move on the earth, how to live and move whenever we needed water, we would move where the water was. We would build buildings that would last forever. We would carve in stone. And even to the point of explaining what foods human beings, especially those living in the Americas, would best serve our bodies so that we would live healthy and long lives. One of the subjects he brings up is the sacred foods that the elders were eating, consuming every day, and how it made them stronger, made them more aware, helped them to understand how powerful they really are, and to most of all, understand that our bodies are sacred and everything we put into our bodies is important. That's why we have to pay attention to every aspect of our lives. I noticed that one of the subjects he was talking about in this book was amaranth. And I had never heard of amaranth. At the time, I must have been in my 60s. And I was just wondering, well, what is amaranth? Why is it I don't know? He's talking about how it's a sacred food and how beneficial it is to us. But yet, I didn't know anything about it. And when I started doing the research, I discovered that this amazing plant is all over, growing all over, and it's considered a weed and has been actually treated pretty, I would say, treated in a way where it wasn't respected for its true value to human beings because of old belief systems, let's say. The ancients knew about it and loved it and used it in their daily lives. It wasn't until about 500 years ago when everything changed in a lot of the things that we were doing as human beings to make our lives sacred. And so this book had a big effect on my life. Amaranth has always been an important food source in many parts of the world. And if amaranth is such an important food source, then why has it had such a difficult history here in the Americas? It is said that amaranth was an important part of the diet of most people living as hunter-gatherers in North America throughout time. It was also cultivated by the Olmec, Toltec, Maya, and Azteca for at least 8,000 to 10,000 years throughout Central America as greens and grain. Amaranth was not just a food staple for the ancient Mesoamericans, it played a big part as a sacred food in their ceremonies. We know that during some sacred holidays, the Azteca, for example, built statues of their deities using amaranth grain and honey. These statues were worshipped, then broken into little pieces and handed out to everyone in the village for eating. This is the primary reason why amaranth did not survive as a staple. When the Spanish arrived with Cortés, as part of their efforts to force Christianity on these indigenous people, they outlawed the grain. Amaranth fields were burned and cultivators were punished. There are stories that tell of the conquistadors actually cutting off the hands of those who had it growing in their gardens and around their homes. This was a very sad part of the history of amaranth because it grows almost everywhere, and it's difficult to keep it from growing anywhere. Over the years, the church won out, and amaranth was almost completely eliminated from the stomachs, hearts, and minds of those living in this part of the world. Fortunately, amaranth was reintroduced back to the United States in the 70s. Today, amaranth is grown in a few locations in the United States, and we are able to enjoy this sacred food despite its rough past. Most people who are aware of amaranth think of it as a grain. It isn't actually a cereal grain by definition. It belongs to another plant family entirely, Amaranthacea. Because its nutritional composition is so similar, it is often included with cereal grains. There are about 60 different species of amaranth, and a few of them are native to Mesoamerica. And the plans were put in motion to help make this tasty and nutritious food source find its way back into the kitchens and cocinas of the Americas today. Another variation of amaranth is verdolagas, or purslane. It's a leafy vegetable that can be eaten raw or cooked. It's a rich source of potassium, magnesium, and calcium. And it's really delicious. When I was growing up, my grandmother and mother used to go out and pick these, what I called weeds. They called them quelites, and cooked them up into a delicious meal. And they did it quite often during the late spring and summer. It was delicious. Amaranth greens, called quelites by most Native Americans, grow just about everywhere. One version of wild spinach, or lamb's quarters, is also known as pigweed. It is one of the plants targeted by weed killers like Monsanto's Roundup. So it's true that many people are killing a plant they think of as a weed, but instead, it's a delicious, healthy food. Well, what is it that's so great about amaranth? In addition to its delicious taste, it is very nutritious. It's said that amaranth contains up to 87% of our total human nutrients. First of all, it's high in protein, even higher than quinoa at 9 grams per cooked cup. It's also loaded with 5 grams of fiber per cup and is gluten-free. Amaranth is also full of vital minerals, nutrients, and vitamins, including vitamin A, vitamin C, folate, calcium, iron, magnesium, potassium, copper, zinc, manganese, vitamin B6, and riboflavin. Now many people are growing their own amaranth microgreens. Within a 13 to 14 day period, you can actually grow your own microgreens and add these delicious, nutritious plants to every salad or any sandwich or any stew. Now I'm going to do a little cooking with amaranth. I really have started enjoying more and more having breakfast with amaranth in my life, either the porridge or mixing up some pancake batter. So let's do that right now.
For 3 pancakes in the morning for me, I just put in a half cup of the amaranth flour. And I mix in about the same amount of water. I add 1 egg. We're going to add in 1.5 tablespoons of butter, melted. Going to put in our butter. One teaspoon of baking powder. And And then just mix it up. Pretty simple. Okay, once you feel like your pan is ready, it's pretty easy, just pour it in there. Let the heat of the pan do the rest. We'll turn it in a few seconds here. Okay, looks like this one's ready to turn. Okay, that looks a little bit more like a well-cooked pancake. While that one's cooking, I'm going to put a little bit of butter on this one here. And I really enjoy the agave nectar instead of using any kind of corn sweetener syrups or even maple syrup. And I just lightly add some agave nectar. Just about ready here to turn this one. Perfect. Okay, that's my second pancake. All right, great. Turn my pan off. Add a little butter. And that's breakfast. I just love amaranth pancakes. No kidding. It's true. I do. Okay, we're gonna toast a few amaranth seeds. Just hot pan. Just notice how they're jumping around as they do their little popping thing. Yeah, they just start popping and smells great. Smells really good. think we might have a little bit too much heat on our pan, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit. But notice how they're just popping up, toasting, a little bit of brown color to them. And make sure we don't really want to toast them to the point where they get burned. I just wanted to show you how to go about popping your amaranth seeds so that you can start working on making some alegria, and which I'm finding out more and more there's a real interesting energy with amaranth that really does add joy to my life. And I've been eating amaranth every day now for 2 months. I wanted to see what it felt like, how it feels in my body. And I can assure you, it's been a really wonderful experience to have this amazing food source in my life. And after 2 months of eating it every day, I really do feel healthier, stronger, more alert. And I think that's important for us, especially as we start to get older. It becomes more and more important, Phil. I'm just going to move all of our popped amaranth into a little bowl of some kind, into a mixing bowl, if you're making a large batch of it. I want to make sure I get every seed. These things are so valuable. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to add a little bit of honey. And then just mix it up. Now once you got everything mixed in here so that everything's sweet, ready, it becomes alegria, joy. And then when you taste it, you understand why they call it alegria. It's delicious. You're going to love it.
If you're interested in finding out more about Amaranth, please click on the link below and download a PDF of this little pamphlet we've created. Amaranth, the forgotten sacred food. It's got recipes, it's got the story, a little bit of the history, and it's also got information on how you can grow amaranth in your own garden. So please, take the time to click on the link below and download this important document that'll help you feel better, live longer, help your families feel better, live longer, because this plant is more than what we think it is. It's so much more. Thank you for watching. I want to give thanks to the Pueblo City County Library, Rawlings Branch. Special thanks to Aaron Ramirez, Charlene Garcia Sims, and Michelle Vigil. Thank you all very much. I really appreciate your support.